There are a couple of words that bring joy to my heart every time I hear them, and those two words are Bart Castle. That's the name of one of our trainers here at CBT Nuggets who is an AWS expert. And a few days ago, I was doing this troubleshooting exercise, building these labs for us, and asking for volunteers from the team to do the walkthroughs. And Bart responds and says, you know what, I'll do one. So I talked with him. I said, Bart, I didn't realize you worked with Cisco at all. He goes, yeah, a few years ago. And he's willing to just jump in and do some troubleshooting. That's the spirit, my friend. That is the spirit. So let me share with you the topology and the problem. And then what I want you to do is pause the video, work through the troubleshooting lab, and then when you're ready, resume the video, and we'll have Bart do his walkthrough of discovering what the issue is and the solution to that problem. So let's take a look at the topology. So here's our topology, and here we have the Arizona network, and we are going to focus on connectivity between the PC in Arizona, this Windows 10 PC, and let me take a look at my notes. And the problem is that this PC in Arizona cannot ping any of the computers in Florida or Nevada. And so the challenge is to identify what is the problem with that connectivity and then to go ahead and solve it. So I invite you to pause the video right now, and when we come back, we'll turn it over to Bart for the walkthrough.
Hey friends, good afternoon. This is Cloud Bart here. Got an interesting little thing for us this afternoon. Earlier this week, my good buddy Keith Barker, who you may be familiar with out there of the Cisco world here at CBT Nuggets, he reached out to a number of the trainers here internally and was like, hey, I got a troubleshooting project for you guys. Anybody interested in getting in? You need some basic Cisco command line experience. And I was like, yeah, that sounds great. That's how I would describe my Cisco command line experience. I held my CCNA for quite a long time many years ago. I originally got my CCNA probably about 13, 14 years ago, maintained it through taking more advanced certifications along the way. But since then, I've really moved out of the Cisco world quite a bit and moved over into the cloud computing space and kind of doing a lot of consulting and design and implementation work there. In fact, the last Cisco piece that I put together was a call center environment where we were building the DevNet, basically on-prem DevNet tools. That was pretty fun. It was for a little IVR software company that I worked with before, but didn't really get into routers and switches much in there. So when Keith hit me up with this particular problem, and you can kind of see the diagram that he gave me here, I was intrigued. I was like, Keith, is it okay if I Google stuff, if I look some stuff up? And he's like, of course. I'm interested more in understanding your troubleshooting methodology, how you approach the problem. So I haven't taken much look at this yet. Basically what they told me is that we have client computers that we're trying to get layer 3 IP to IP connectivity working on. So they've got the client PC in Arizona up there, 10.16.0.10 in VLAN 10, and he is trying to get them talking to the computers down here in the bottom right in Nevada and in Florida. Okay, so we've got quite a few different subnets. They're spread out all across this multi-routed interface environment that he has kind of presented here. And he said that they're basically configured, but I'm going to need to go through here and figure out what the problem is. He said that it should be scoped around layer 2 and layer 3 style issues there. So the first thing I did here was I took a look at the network diagram and kind of just familiarized myself with the basic architecture. So we know where the aggregation's happening and then where the backbone pieces are happening, and then trying to figure out what sort of problems I might run into here. And I'm trying to go back to the original Cisco days. And so I'm expecting to potentially see problems with interfaces being down, problems with interface VLAN membership, problems with trunking, problems with trunking VLANs across trunk ports, port modes. I'm expecting to see some of that layer 1 and layer 2 functionality there. He did give me a hint. He said there aren't any fancy access control lists to trip you up. So I appreciate that, Keith. Thanks, buddy. The next part then is I'm going to be looking to make sure that all of the layer 3 logic is working here. So we're going to need to go through and I guess make sure that the routing tables are working properly here. So I guess what I would do first is I'm just going to start physical. That's what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and confirm that all of these ports that he drew on here are online. So that's what I'm going to try first here. So this is the guy that we are trying to ping with. And indeed, if we jumped on here and did a little command prompt, one of the first tests that I would be trying to get working here would be pinging 10. Let's do 16.8.101. And I am just going to start this up. It looks like it's going to fail. Yeah, that's fine. We were expecting it to fail. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and open up another one here as well. And I'm going to start pinging the Florida machines. Now, this is one of my favorite networking tricks. I used to always just run a ping stream and keep these bad boys just kind of jamming away in the background. So that way, when you get something right and all of a sudden the ICMP string comes online, it's like, woo, sweet ping response. Hoping to get some of that here in the next couple of minutes or so. So let's do ping 10.16. These are going to be the Florida clients, 10.16.20. Let's do 101 there as well, and I'll throw that T on. Okay, yeah. And so they are definitely timing out. One thing that's interesting to note is that right away I see that says destination host unreachable, and I'm getting some request times out. Okay, so those aren't your traditional ICMP responses when there's a valid path to the destination and it's just not responding. This says things like host unreachable. So it's making me think that we already have some routability problems that we're going to have to discover somewhere in this environment. And again, of course, guys, please apologize if my amateurish networking recaps of some of this stuff violate some of your better CCNA training. Remember, I'm not taking the CCNA right now. I'm just coming at this, trying to do this and refresh this on my own as a personal challenge. Okay. Cool. So let's jump back over to the domain controller with all the PuTTY sessions on it. And I'm just going to take a look at the access switch first here. Okay, show IP int. So one of the first ones that I was looking for on here was I was trying to find 0/0, 0/1, and 0/2 and just make sure that they're looking good. Okay, so 00 is up, 01 is up, and 0/2 is up. Line protocol is up. So that's a pretty good start. Those are the only three interfaces that I was specifically concerned with. Okay, so those interfaces are up. Let's see if we can ping the 0.11 address from our client PC. You're going to probably see me bouncing back a lot to do this as I kind of work my way out. I'm curious whether or not I can get to any of the first hop routers out of this initial switch here. So that's good. That means I'm able to get a ping back from the access switch. That's looking pretty good. Let's jump back over here. And so we know that VLAN 10 is working. That's a good start. While I'm on access 1, I'm going to do a show VLAN brief here as well. Okay. And what I can see then is that VLAN 10, and it has gig 0/0 in the group. So that looks good. It confirms it. We look like that membership is correct. Show int trunk. Let's take a look. Show int trunk. Okay, so it looks like they do have trunking configured on 0/1 and 0/2. Okay, they've got .1q encapsulation enabled. They are in trunk mode. It's on. It says it's in status trunking. That looks pretty good. Let's see, what else do we want to check out on the access switch here? Let's see, show spanning tree. VLAN, let's just take a look at VLAN 10. Okay, cool. So it looks like in VLAN 10, spanning tree has come to a happy place. They are in the forwarding state, so that looks good. Okay, so nothing ugly here quite yet. All right, so so far, looks like the access switch seems to be pretty solid. Let's try to ping out to the core. This will be core 1 and core 2. And then if I do a show IP int brief here, so we can just kind of confirm that this looks right. And they do have the VLANs configured on here. And I've seen the list that they gave me, 01. Those all look good for the VLANs. Let's see here. Let's do a quick show VLAN brief here. Okay, so that's a little concerning. I don't see VLAN 10 anywhere in here. Let's do a quick show. Oh, show int trunk, that's it. Okay, so they've got port 1/0 is set up as a trunk. That looks right. 1/2 and 1/3 are both trunks as well. That looks good. Notice that we don't have 10 in any of the forwarding states down here. Okay, so that's tricky, and I think that's going to be part of it. If we take a look at this one, yeah, so I'm pretty sure we need to get VLAN 10 working there. Let's try this. Show VLAN. That's right. Okay, great. So to get this done, if I remember correctly, we do a configured terminal here. And then I'm going to do VLAN 10. Yep. And then we do an end here, I believe, to commit. That looks pretty good. So if we do a show VLAN brief, okay, there's VLAN 10. And if we do a show int trunk, see if that showed up on there. Okay, 10 is on here in the management domain. I don't see it completely coming into state yet. But if I remember correctly, spanning tree takes a few for it to completely gel across the network. So I imagine here shortly that should work. Now, while I'm waiting, one of the things I wanted to test is if that is the case, then I should be able to ping that interface. Now, I think it was 10.16.0.1. See if we get any responses back from over there. Oh, I started to get some responses back. Let's try that one more time here. Oh, there we go. 5 out of 5. Well, that's looking a lot better. Okay, let's see here. Show int trunk. Boom. Okay, 10's on there. That's looking a lot better. And if we do show spanning VLAN 10, yeah, there we go. We got the forwarding state. Very good. Okay, cool. So that looks good. Let's see if Core 2 has got it going now. Let's see here. Show spanning VLAN 10. Same thing here. Show VLAN brief. Still no VLAN 10. Now, if I remember correctly, there's a feature that allow VLAN trunk propagation, and I think that I'm trying to remember what the heck that was called for Cisco. Let's do show VTP status. And what I'm seeing here is this thing's in transparent mode. Probably means I just need to go ahead and configure VLAN 10 here on Core 2. So let's just do that. Conf T, we'll do VLAN 10, we'll say end, and we'll do show VLAN brief. Okay, so there's 10. That looks pretty good. If we do a show spanning summary, if we do a VLAN summary, spanning tree 10 is active on there. And if we look at spanning tree for VLAN 10, I think we're getting close here, friends. Yeah, look at that forwarding state. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So I wanted to ping 10.16.8.101 or 9.101. Okay. So let's do ping 10.16.8.101. Is there anybody out there? Hope they respond. Little timeout there. Now remember that when you're in a lab environment like this, sometimes your virtual switches will take a little while for them to respond. I'm curious if that's what I'm seeing here. I'm going to go ahead and fire up another command prompt and try another IP. Let's try one of the Florida addresses here. So that was ping 10.16.20.101. Yeah, let's try that. I'm going to put a T at the end there. Okay, nothing happening in there yet. Let's try one of the other ones. Let's say .9.101. Maybe we can ping that guy. Hey, there we go. Well, that's pretty cool. Look, that one responded too. So I think I got it, Keith. I'm going to have to check and see what you found out. So what I discovered then, if I got this right, was that VLAN 10 was not properly configured on those first core switches. And so even though you had the trunking configured and you had all of these other services running, without that one primary VLAN in there available, there was no way for us to forward that traffic from our client PC on through the rest of the network. So by adding VLAN 10 and then making sure that all of that spanning tree excitement came online and set itself up properly, then I think we're looking pretty good. I was able to get them to ping back and forth across there. So just to kind of recap here, what I realized as I went through this was that a lot of my logic worked. I wasn't remembering every single little command. I didn't remember all the little brief pieces, so I had to go back and refresh that. But just now, after even just spending a half an hour, 45 minutes working on this here, I remember a lot of it. And the cool thing here was that even though I've been spending my time working on cloud computing stuff, layer 2 and layer 3 troubleshooting logic still worked here. I knew that we needed to get the trunking to work. So what I encourage you guys to do is always make sure you start from the ground up. Make sure you understand the known good parts of it, the physical connectivity pieces, I moved up to layer 2 next. That led me to a trunking, spanning tree discussion, and then beyond that I would have moved into layer 3 to look at the routing even farther if this hadn't fixed the issue. So I hope that works out, Keith. Thanks for the fun challenge. It was a great chance for me to kind of crash through something that I used to spend a good amount of time doing. Remember, friends, if this is your network, copy, run, start. Always remember to take that running config and get it committed back to the file system. Keith, I hope that helps, buddy. If you got any more wacky challenges for me, send them my way. And for the rest of you guys out there on the internet, study on, learn on. CBT Nuggets is celebrating their 20th anniversary this month, and it's really exciting. I know that Keith was a big part of that success, and I am excited to be a part of the team here as well, bringing you guys all sorts of great training content. So we'll see you out there in the cloud.
I'm enjoying this so much as my coworkers and fellow teammates tackle these labs and share with us their insights on troubleshooting. It's been a varied approach and it's been wonderful. I've loved it. So I want to give a special thanks and shout out to Bart Castle for his time and energy he spent on this video today, troubleshooting this lab. And I also want to thank you for putting in the time and effort in troubleshooting and working in these labs to build your troubleshooting skills. The more you practice with the configuration and verification of networks, the better you'll also get at troubleshooting. It makes you overall more valuable to your employer and your customers and everybody that you serve. So thanks for joining me for this lab, and I'll see you in the next video. Meanwhile, I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.